Without consciousness, there would, practically speaking, be no world. For the world exists for us only insofar as it is consciously reflected by a psyche. Consciousness is a precondition of being. Thus the psyche is endowed with the dignity of a cosmic principle, which philosophically and in fact gives it a position co-equal with the principle of physical being. The carrier of this consciousness is the individual, who does not produce the psyche of his own volition, but is, on the contrary, preformed by it, and nourished by the gradual awakening of consciousness during childhood. If, therefore, the psyche is of overriding empirical importance, so also is the individual, who is the only immediate manifestation of the psyche. C.G. Jung, The Undiscovered Self. This week, I have the honor of reviewing a book by the brilliant Swiss psychoanalyst Carl Gustav Jung. This book is The Undiscovered Self, and it was given to me last year. I always love getting recommendations, and I'm happy to review them for the Burkean conservative whenever possible. One of the best things about being a Burkean conservative is that our role model, Edmund Burke, talked about everything from religion and spirituality to philosophy, politics, and literature. And so we can cover just about anything on this blog. And so today, we consider The Undiscovered Self. This is an elegant work, one in which the author takes on modern thought and dissects its weaknesses. Jung's main interest is in probing the unconscious and showing why it's important for truly understanding ourselves in the deepest sense. His belief is that people living in our modern times have a superstition or a certainty about something that may not be true. Modern people, he says, including even atheists and agnostics, do have a form of faith, even if they don't recognize it. For many people, their faith is in consciousness. I wrote more about this in my essay and on our website, but essentially, Jung's proof of this is that we have to assume our consciousness. We can't prove it. It's not like gravity or other things we can easily test with science. If you were, for example, to try to test something simple, like the hypothesis of gravity, you could drop a rock from a building and see the effect. You could measure the fall and the time it took to get to the ground. But if you wanted to test the hypothesis of your own consciousness, you can't do that. You can't observe yourself unconsciously. So you'd have to have someone else test this for you. But then you'd have to be conscious again to see their results. And so consciousness is something we assume all day, every day. That makes it a form of faith, what Jung calls a superstition, in that we operate off of something that can't be scientifically proven. And if your worldview revolves exclusively around facts, figures, and the scientific method, then this means real trouble. The trouble is that consciousness is where science ends. We didn't create consciousness, we can't see past it, and we certainly can't prove it. Life is therefore an absurdity in which we hypocritically seek truth while being wrapped in superstition, or it's a reality in which consciousness is a gift. Science in this context, and according to Jung, is that it's most helpful when it's considered a tool. Because it rests upon assumptions and unproven elements, science cannot be a source of everlasting truth, or a reliable life philosophy. The recognition that faith sustains science leads to humility, an awareness that we are dependent upon powers beyond our control. For Christians, of course, that shouldn't surprise us in the least.